Canvas Couples, where we bring different people, to speak on issues that relates, be it in our marriages, in our lives. And today we are so thankful that we have an expert in the house that is going to share with us what they've got. I'm sure you have seen the flyer flying around, and tonight we are ready to learn. And as Diaspora Canvas Couples team, we are excited as well. So yeah, we cannot wait. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Lennon. I appreciate that. Yes, our platform is a couples platform, but because of the nature of the conversation we are having tonight, I appreciate that we might have more people, some who are not couples. We are okay with that tonight because the topic that we are going to be talking about tonight is a family topic. It's a topic which covers everybody. It's a topic which covers, whether you are a couple or not. So we welcome you, everybody, tonight, because the focus is on immigration, and we all know that the UK has introduced new immigration rules, and all of us are panicking. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how this is going to affect me and my family and my children, and this is why we've brought in somebody who can help us to unpack these new rules and help us to understand these new rules in a better way, to help us alleviate the anxiety, because all of us are anxious, and we want to make sure that we learn. Without wasting time, I'm sure you are not here to listen to me. You are here to listen to the man whom you saw on the poster, and we are going straight into that conversation tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have an expert in the field of immigration law, a person who has experience in the UK and many other countries, but today is here to speak on UK immigration law. And we're excited to have Mr. Taffi Nyawanza in the house, who is going to help us to unpack the new UK immigration laws. Without further ado, let me welcome to the platform Mr. Taffi Nyawanza. Mr. Taffi, we welcome you. We appreciate your presence tonight. Please take over. The platform is all yours.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, the Gujas and the Gujas and the
Garwes.
And the Garwes, yes, the Crocs.
Yes.
I should have remembered that. All right, fantastic. Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone who's tuned in, who's logged into this session. And yeah, what I want to try and do, you won't believe this. I had my laptop open, and it's just died on me, but I'm quite sure my wife hears me on the other end because she's listening in from the other room. And so she will come to my help in a few minutes. But let's get cracking. What I want to do is I want to propose that I do a presentation, hopefully about 20-30 minutes, and then do a Q&A after that. I think from experience that works better. So what I want to do first of all is to start with some key dates. I just want you to take note of these dates. Okay, so that's my missus just coming into the rescue. So what I want is just my laptop to be on. But whilst she's doing that, I will just give you some key dates that I want us to write down and take note of. The first date is the 1st of May, 2025. 1st of May, 2025 is when there were elections in the UK, local elections, okay? 1st of May, 2025, in which, as you know, the government did very badly, Labour did very badly, and Reform UK did very well. Now, as a result, there was a white paper on immigration on the 12th of May, which was a direct response to the results of that election, because that election saw the rise of Reform UK, which is an anti-immigration party, which did very well in those elections. So 12th of May, white paper comes out on immigration, proposing a whole range of changes. Then some of those changes began to come into effect on the 22nd of July 2025. Okay, so we'll talk about 22 July 2025. Then we'll also talk about 22 July 2028, which is the end of the care work visa for those that are in the United Kingdom. And then we'll also circle back to 11 April 2024, which is the ban on dependence. Okay, so those are the 5 days that I want us to remember. But let's come to something that I want to just address, which is the anniversary, the 5th anniversary of the care work visa. So as you know, the care work visa was introduced some 5 years ago in August. So the first cohort of people qualifying for indefinite leave to remain will be applying, this August. Can you believe it? It's been 5 years of the care work visa, and people are beginning to apply now. Okay, so and I just want to run down the requirements of that visa, for settlement, qualifying for settlement as a care work visa. Number one, obviously, you must have done 5 years of residence in the UK on skilled work. So that means you can combine. So let's say you came in, talking to people, you come across people that have come in as agriculture workers, some have come in as butchers, some have come in as mechanics. And someone was joking with me the other day and saying, as in they are doing mushrooms. So people have come in so many ways. And most have tended to then shift to the care work visa. But it doesn't matter where you are at the end of the 5 years, but it's a combination of categories. So it could be mushroom picker, it could be diesel mechanic, it could be minister of religion, whatever, and combined with maybe care work visa. As long as you are doing a skilled work at the end of 5 years, you qualify for settlement. Then your employer must certify in writing that they still require you for work. Okay, so they must certify in writing, and then the sponsor must also have a valid sponsor license at the time that you are applying for settlement. You must also be earning the prescribed salary. Now, very important for us to understand that the Home Office will look at your record for the past 12 months. So this business of people doing maricho, just be careful. In the final year, you want a clean record. You want to be doing proper work for the main employer, and they will look at your PAYE records for 12 months. So just be careful around those issues. Then you must have life in the UK test. And then you must, there's no requirement for English test, by the way. Usually, if you're applying for settlement, it's life in the UK plus English test. But for care work, it's just the life in the UK. Life in the UK test does not expire. So you can write this 3-4 years in advance. It's fine, and I actually encourage people to do that because you can actually fail it. you can fail it. So it's good to do it well in advance. Okay, then that comes as a shock to a lot of people. 3,029 per person. So if you're a family of papa, mama, 3 kids, that's 3,029 times 5. Okay, so please prepare in advance. Now, I mention that because for some people it may not be possible to apply as a whole family for settlement for a number of reasons. One may be financial, but also the other main issue that arises is that maybe the dependent spouse followed after So let's say the dependent spouse followed a year after the main applicant. It means that they will be short by a year. Okay, so remember the requirement is 5 years. So that's 5 years for the main applicant and 5 years for the dependent spouse. So if the spouse is short, you may need to think through your strategy. What do you do? Do you extend the main applicant's work by another year so that you all then qualify, which may be cheaper? Or do you say the main applicant applies for indefinite leave to remain, and then the dependent spouse applies to be a dependent of this person who is now settled? That works out much more expensive. It's 3,800 or something like that. So just think that very carefully. Thankfully for children, there's no requirement to do 5 years. It's just the main applicant and the partner, but not for children. Okay. Then remember that the earliest date you can apply is 28 days before you are eligible. So at 4 years, 11 months is when you can apply. All right. Now, having said all of this, I want to mention something. When we apply for indefinite leave to remain, there are these things that we've mentioned: 5 years, certified by sponsor, life in the UK, fee, and so on, which is a tick box exercise. And if you've got those things, you should generally qualify. But there are also what we call general grounds of refusal, which the Home Office apply. And they look at things like, do you have a criminal record? So these things have got nothing to do with the eligibility criteria for settlement, but they are what we call general grounds. They are sort of overarching. So you need to look at things like, do you have a criminal record? Do you have a chain of CCJPs? A single or maybe two CCJPs, nothing to worry about. But if you've got a chain of them, they tend to go towards what the Home Office call good character. So you want to be careful around those things. You want to be careful about, a clean record so that you are not refused on general grounds. Okay, so that's settlement. But let me come to those key dates, and I just want to try and run through those one by one. So the first one that is important is the 22nd of July, 2025. 22nd of July, 2025. That is the date on which the care work visa closed to overseas applicants. Okay, so we all know that with effect from the 22nd of July 2025, you can no longer come to the UK on the care work visa. It's now closed. Okay, then we come to the 22nd of July 2028, which is another key date. That date is when the care work visa closes to people that are in the UK in a different category wanting to switch to the care work visa. Okay, I hope that is clear, because it's a bit confusing for a lot of people. People have been talking about this date and not quite understanding what it's saying. The 22nd of July 2028 is when you cannot switch to the care work visa from a different category. We are talking of people who are students, who are dependents, who are charity workers, who are mushroom pickers, any other of those categories. Yeah, you can no longer do it. But if you are in the UK as a care worker, you carry on being a care worker. There's no effect. I would talk about something called the immigration shortage list and transitional arrangements in a little while, because I've seen a lot of debate about, is the care work coming to an end in 2028 and so on. So I will address that in a little while. But let's catch that 22nd July 2028 as the end of the care work visa for those wanting to switch. And then I also mentioned 11 April 2024. This is the date on which the provision for bringing dependents or for banning dependents came in. So anyone who came to the UK before 11 April 2024 on the care work visa can still bring dependents. Yeah. If you came before 11 April 2024, you can still bring dependents in spite of all these changes that have come in. Okay. If you came after 11 April 2025, you can't. I'm sure that again is quite clear. All right. So those are the key dates. Now, I also want to mention the end of something called 6131 auxiliary nurses. So the Home Office introduced a ban on employers employing what are called auxiliary nurses unless the employer also employs nurses. So what was happening was that with the ban on dependents, which came in on 11 April 2024, employers were finding ways of bringing in people in a way that would allow them to bring dependents. So they were using 6131. So there was a bit of abuse going on there. And the white papers then proposed you can no longer use code 6131. If you're on code 6131, you may need to be careful. And I know for a fact that a lot of people are on code 6131. You may need to be careful because the new requirement now is saying you cannot be on 6131 if the workplace does not have nurses. Because 6131 is auxiliary nurses or assistant nurses. So who are you assistant to? If there are no nurses in that place. So you get the reasoning there. So you may need to switch to carer or senior carer because of that issue. Okay, then I've talked about 613, the end of switching and so on. Let's talk about regional hubs. There's something called regional hubs which was introduced. This is where people that lost their jobs as a result of the sponsor losing their sponsor license, getting into these things called regional hubs, which were meant to assist people to find employers or to find jobs. And regional hubs were quite useful because if you got in there and there was an employer looking for employees, carers, they would go there and find workers and so on. That has now been scrapped, okay, or rather it's going to be scrapped. A bit interesting that in actual practice the Home Office have allowed them to carry on, but what they've announced is that they are scrapping them now. In its place, in the place of regional hubs, there are two things that have come in. Number one, if you are switching to the care work visa from a different category, let's say student or dependents usually, and usually this arises in domestic issues. Let's say a couple have had differences, and then the wife says, "Ndugu visa ba visa rangu," and then the husband looks for their own visa. So that's typically the situation. So someone switching from a different visa, like dependent, into care work visa, the requirement now is that you need to work 3 months for that new employer before they can give you a COS. Okay. Very important to understand this. If you're switching from a non-care work category, you need to do 3 months before you get a COS. If you apply without have been either or you don't get it. Yeah. So it's either you're in a regional hub or you've done 3 months. But for people that are already care workers switching jobs, you found a different employer and they're switching jobs, that 3 months requirement has now been scrapped. So this is actually fantastic news because, as you know, there was a lot of difficulty around this, where the Home Office were insisting that, everyone needed to do 3 months. So that is now gone. And I think we need to spread this news as far as widely as possible because it hasn't quite spread as much as it should. So people are still struggling and saying, oh, I need to do 3 months and so on. That has gone. Okay. You don't need to do 3 months. If you find a job, as long as you're a carer, you can get a COS straight away and apply. Okay. So I hope that is clear. Then, as I was saying, there is no ban on dependents of care workers who arrived in the UK before 11 March 2024. I think I've already touched on this. Yeah. Now, here is the one. Okay, maybe let me touch on this one, then I'll go to the one that is causing a lot of anxiety. And this one also is causing a lot of anxiety. It's about will people get indefinite leave to remain after 5 years? Okay. Now, in the announcement, the big announcement that came in on the 12th of May, as well as the 22nd of July 2025, there was nothing on that. So as of now, the position still remains that if you're on a care work visa, you will qualify for indefinite leave to remain after 5 years. As I was saying, the first cohort are now applying, So if you've done your 5 years, you will qualify. And there's no news, there's no proposal. Well, there's a proposal, I'm sure you've heard, to double that to 10 years. But as of now, no announcement. So we think it's very possible that the Home Office have perhaps listened to the concerns that were circulating and they've decided to drop that, or maybe that proposal will come another time. We don't know. But as of now, nothing has changed, which is good news. Then let me come to the big one, I think, which is what a lot of people have been talking about. Is the care work visa going away on the 22nd of July 2028? Now, there are two things that we need to understand. Number one is, which I've already mentioned, the care work visa is closing to people wanting to switch to the care work visa. Yeah? People that are not care workers wanting to become care workers. That is closing on the 22nd of July 2028. Okay. Now, in addition to that, the Home Office have proposed something called the immigration shortage list. Okay, so all jobs now that will come with visas or that are sponsored should be on this immigration shortage list or another one. There's a different one called the temporary skills list. So it's a bit confusing. But care work is on this one called the immigration shortage list. Now, what they have said is that the immigration shortage list is reviewable. It's a transitional list to be reviewed on the 22nd of July 2028. Okay, that's where the confusion is coming. And people have read that to mean on that date, the care work visa will be scrapped and people will then need to find other jobs, higher skilled jobs and so on. No, that's certainly not the way the change is written or the provision is written. It simply means is saying that the care work route is on the immigration shortage list, which is a transitional list which will be reviewed. Now, this reviewing process, what does that mean? It means that the Home Office may very well say on that date, we are closing the care work visa. It's very possible. I doubt that's what's going to happen, but that's what review means. Or it may mean that they will say, okay, we are extending by another year or another 2 years, which is more likely. Because remember,
Remy, please stop.
Remember that care work is a demand occupation, and what all of this stuff about immigration is very cyclical. Sometimes there's a demand for care workers, sometimes not so much. Sometimes there's issues around the politics of immigration, and then you see some knee-jerk reactions and so on. But what would be
Rumbi, I
the
feel like I'm getting
advice?
violated.
What would be the advice to someone who's on the care work visa? I think personally that there's no need to panic as long as you've got a job, as long as you're being sponsored as a care worker, you're likely to be okay. You may obviously want to just be prepared. You know, you never know. You may just want to be prepared, you know, skill yourself up, do some studies, because remember what they are proposing is that we will no longer be able to offer sponsorship to jobs below a certain threshold. And the threshold that has been proposed is RFQ6, which is the equivalent of degree level. So what you may want to do is to just do those NVQs, you know, just be ready for any eventuality. But NVQ 5 should be okay. You know, and that's something that's well within reach for a lot of people. So in a nutshell, those are the changes. Some of them sound very technical, you know, but I think what I want to emphasize is this, that number one, the care work visa is closed to people that are overseas. Number two, the care work visa will close to people that are not care workers wanting to become care workers on the 22nd of July 2028. And then number three, people that arrived in the UK before 11 April 2025, 2024 can still bring dependents if you have got dependents abroad. This means that someone who came to the UK before 11 April 2024 can still go abroad and get married and bring that person. Okay? So you can, if you are in this forum as a single person, you can become a couple if you want. You know, there's no ban on that. And then finally, the transitional provision, which we talked about, which may see some changes on the care work visa, which I don't think is going to happen, but you never know. So people just need to be ready. So those are the main changes, and like I said, I wanted to just throw it out there and then, you know, go straight into a Q&A. So with your help, the Gushas, the Crocs, you can read out questions that are coming in or that have come in, and or whatever, you know, people prefer to do, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Nyawanza, for that very impressive presentation. Thank you so much. So we are going to run through the questions. Mrs. Guja, could you help us with running through the questions? Mrs. Guja, are you there? Fine, that's fine. I will start. I'll start with the questions which are on the chat. So we have got some questions which are right here on this chart, but we also have some questions which were present via the Slido. Okay, I think we have somebody who we might have been hacked. I think we have people here who are doing some funny things here. We have somebody who is playing some funny games here. Fine, that's fine. Let's start with the question. So the first question from PJ says, what is the difference between Care Visa 6135 and 6145?
Okay, all right. So that one is very basic. 6135 is care worker. 6145 is the old care worker. So what happened is that at some point they just changed the codification. So 6145 became 6135, but it's still care worker. Then 6146, which is senior care worker, became 6136. So those are the differences.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Garwe, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you are you able to take over now?
All right. Yes. Thank you.
All right, sure. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garwe. Just some house rules. Can we just mute ourselves so that we can be able to have all the answers, the questions answered? If you have something to ask, we have put a Slido on the chat, and also you can write your question in the chat as well, so that we can address it properly. We're just going to dash quickly to the Slido. So that we can just look at the questions which were present with people. And Mr. Tapumane, I think you're here to just answer us. And sorry, Tawanda? Tapumane, yes, that's correct. Sorry. So our first question, which is there is, will my family and I be eligible to apply for indefinite leave to remain in 2027 when we reach 5 years, given the new rules? I believe you did touch on this while you were presenting, but I'll just give you, maybe you have something to just add on that one.
Yes, so that one is fairly straightforward. Nothing has changed so far. So as of today, there are no changes. Hopefully that remains the case. As I've said, when the changes were announced, in the white paper, there was a proposal to double the qualifying period from 5 to 10 years. But when the changes actually started to come in, there was nothing on that, the qualifying period. So it looks like they have dropped that proposal, or maybe that will come later. But as of now, nothing has changed. But I have to add this, that usually and traditionally speaking, even if changes come, they don't normally affect people that are already on track. Okay, so you guys should be okay as long as you are in the UK already, on track to settlement. You shouldn't be affected. It would be very, very unusual for the changes to come in and apply retrospectively. So I wouldn't worry too much about the qualifying period to settlement.
All right. Just, I can see there's a whole lot of questions which just came through. I'm just trying to combine them so that they can be together. They can just say them once. There's just two questions I'm going to say on the Slido, then we move on to the chat. The first one, which it says that, does the 180 days rule apply to children here, both born here or not? Thinking of taking my children home. One was born here and one was born in Zimbabwe. I don't know if you quite understand that. Does the 180 days rule apply to children both born here and one, I'm believing one of them is in Zimbabwe and one is here already? I'll just ask the second question as well, but I think it's more of in line with the first question. What are the benefits and advantages of having indefinite leave to remain? Is it cost a lot of money, especially for families? Does it really matter to have an indefinite leave to remain? So I can just leave those two questions and then we'll move on to the chat.
Okay, let me start with the second one, which I think is fairly straightforward. Indefinite leave to remain is extremely important for a number of reasons. Number one, it allows you flexibility in how you work. So once you get your indefinite leave to remain, you don't have to work for a particular employer, and you don't have to do the minimum hours and so on that you should do if you are sponsored. So extremely important from that point. But number two, indefinite leave to remain allows you to immediately go to university for free. So some of you are, have got ambitions to maybe study on certain programs and so on. You can go to university once you've got your indefinite leave to remain. And then indefinite leave to remain also means that when you have children, after you've got your indefinite, they are automatically British citizens. But indefinite leave to remain is also one step away or one step before citizenship. So once you get your indefinite leave to remain, 11 months on, you can get citizenship. And that's where you really should focus on, because indefinite leave to remain can lapse. If you leave the UK and spend 2 years outside, it will lapse. British citizenship does not lapse. So even if you go away to, wherever for 10, 15, 20 years, you can still come back and there'll be no questions. So, but indefinite leave to remain certainly very, very important from the point of view of flexibility and so on. So it's a worthwhile investment, I would say. Then let's come to the question of 180 days. The 180 days that is being talked about is the maximum number of days that you are allowed outside the UK. Okay, so in the 5 years period, you are not supposed to spend more than 180 days in any 12 months period. Okay, and then it's 450 days over 5 years. Yeah, and then it's 90 days in the 12 months prior to obligation. So I know that's a lot to take in. Okay, so let me repeat that. 180 days per year, 450 days in total maximum, and 90 days maximum in the 12 months prior to obligation. Now, the question was, is that applicable to children? And obviously, some of you have children and so on. Now, for children, what normally happens is this, or what sometimes happens is this: a parent will send their child back to Africa, maybe for education, or maybe because they are naughty, and you can't handle them, and so you return them for childcare issues. If a child leaves the UK during term time because they are studying, so I had this case of a child who was studying in America on a scholarship. So the child would go to America and come back every holiday back home. And so they were exceeding the 180 days by far. But because we had proof that they were in school, they were traveling for school purposes, they were fine. Okay, so the rule applies even to children, but as long as they are going away for purposes of education, that's fine. Yeah, I hope that is clear. So that means that they have to go for school term and then be back every holiday. And then when you apply, you need to put in that evidence of term times, to show that they were going for school, they were enrolled. This is evidence that they were enrolled, and so on and so on. Okay. The other scenario would be where, let's say, one partner is seconded by a company here to work in another country and they go with the child. That is fine. But if the child simply goes back because you can't handle them here, and then they spend 2-3 years away, they will not qualify for settlement unless they've done the 5 years. They will still have their visa. I've seen this circulate where people are saying if your child leaves the UK for more than 6 months, their visa lapses. That's not correct. Even a spouse, so a dependent spouse can actually leave and live in abroad for a year, 2 years. As long as their visa is valid, they can still come back. It only affects them for purposes of applying for settlement. So I hope that is clear.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm liking the fact that all the questions are coming in the chat. Thank you very much to Messi. She has been busy in there. Messi Nyawanza, thank you very much. She has been answering some of the questions which you guys have been asking. I'm just going to combine a few ones I saw here that they kind of look the same. Forgive me if they don't sound the same, because I'm not in the field, so I might read something which is totally different. Please do feel free to correct me. You were speaking of children there, there is one, I'm not quite sure if it's similar to what you were saying, but there's a question in there which said, you say children automatically qualify for ILR application once the main applicant has completed their 5 years. Does this only apply to children under 18 years, or even if a dependent has turned 18 years, they can still apply with the main applicant, or they will have to complete their own 5 years to qualify?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there are two aspects to that question. Number one, what happens to children dependents who turn 18? The answer is they continue to qualify for extensions, for settlement, and so on, as long as they are still living in the household and they haven't formed an independent family unit. So let's say your child is now 21 by the time you are applying, yeah, or to extend or whatever, and they have now become a wife to someone else or living with someone. They will not qualify as your dependent because they've created their own independent family unit. Okay, but as long as they are still under you, they may be working and earning a lot of money, but as long as they are still under your roof as a dependent child, that is fine. They continue to benefit. But the question was on automatic qualification for settlement. That applies to children under 18. Okay, so children under 18 who, let's say, have spent 3 years, or maybe because they came 2 years after the main applicant came to the UK, they will qualify for settlement at the same time as their parents. Yeah. So if the parents are applying, or one parent is applying and the other parent hasn't hit 5 years, the children will qualify. But the spouse who has done 3 years will need to top up, still continue to be on route to settlement. And this is where I was saying you may need to then assess whether it's cost effective to extend your status by another 2 years to allow the other one to catch up, or to apply and then apply for this one to become independent. Now, as part of that question, I also have to add this. Sometimes dependents will have a visa that overlaps the main applicant. And this happens, let's say in this scenario, the main applicant comes in on a 3-year visa, whatever has happened, and then they switch their visa, okay? And the new visa that they've got is shorter than the original. But the dependent still has a visa which is overlapping. I hope you are following this. The dependent does not need to change their visa. Okay, so as a general rule, dependents do not need to switch together with the main applicant if the main applicant is switching. So if the main applicant changes jobs and finds another visa, the dependents don't need to do anything as long as their visas are valid. Yeah. So that is very useful, and it's cost effective. It saves a lot of money, and a lot of people are not aware of this. And I've seen people come to me and say, "Oh, husband has got a new job. We've got a wife and 3 children. We need to also change visas." No, valid, and that is very clear in the law. So please get that right. So I was saying that sometimes you get the main applicant with a shorter visa than the main applicant, and that happens quite a number of times because of switching jobs and so on. So it may be that by the time this one qualifies for settlement, these ones who came later still have overlapping visas, so they can carry on with those visas until they catch up and then they apply. I hope that is clear. So some of this stuff I know can sound a bit technical, but for people that are affected, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Nyawanza there. I have an interesting question. I think everyone is more interested in how when you're applying for a new visa, the ILR, what's going to happen and all that. I have a question here which says that what are the chances of someone with a driving ban record due to drunk driving getting visa extension or indefinite leave to remain? I told you this one is going to be an interesting one.
Okay, all right. So extensions usually are straightforward. I've never seen anyone being refused an extension because of, a driving ban and so on. But it will affect you for settlement. Because for settlement, the good character requirement kicks in. And there is a piece of law, a legislation, which is called the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act. What that act says is that if you have a criminal offense, a conviction, a ban, a fine, there is a period of time which we call the rehabilitation period for each specific offense. So those periods are different. For a fine, it's usually 6 months. For a ban, it's as long as the ban. So if you've got a ban for a year, you need to spend a year before you apply for settlement. So that's what rehabilitation means. It's a period of time that you must spend before you qualify for settlement. Okay. So if it's a fine, it's usually 6 months. If it's a ban, it's the life of the ban. If it's a custodial sentence, it gets serious. And then there are certain offenses where there's no you cannot be rehabilitated in the eyes of the law. So, for instance, a murder conviction. If you murder someone, then you are doomed. You can never be rehabilitated. So essentially, there are these periods of time. So all I'm saying is that if you have committed an offense, you need to refer back to that act and see what is the period of time that you must spend from the date of conviction before you can then apply.
All right. I believe that one has been answered very, very clearly. Thank you very much for that one. There's a lot of questions. Some of them I'm just going to skip because you have touched on them. And thanks to Messi, who's also responding to some of them. The question I have here is my question, or at what point can a child born here in the UK qualify for a British citizenship?
Okay, very very interesting question. So there are a number of ways that a child can qualify. Number one, if either parent has got indefinitely qualify for British citizenship, right? Okay.
Yes.
So if either parent has indefinite leave to remain at the time of birth, that child is automatically a British citizen. That's number one. Number two, if a child has spent 10 years in the UK, born in the UK and then spent 10 years, they qualify for British citizenship. Then number three, if they've spent 5 years as a dependent and they've got indefinite leave to remain, then they will then qualify for British citizenship after 11 months. So there are a number of I always make this joke. It's actually a provision in the law. If a child is found abandoned on the streets of the UK, they are automatically a British citizen. but please don't throw away your babies because you will never have them back.
I will hope we don't have any teenagers here who are now planning to go and live in the streets. And the idea also of having your child automatically becoming a British citizen, that one is quite interesting. Since this is a couples canvas club, I believe couples are going to start being busy tonight so that they can just give, one of their child a British citizen, an automatic British citizenship. Thank you on that one. Moving on, I saw a quite interesting question. We only have 3 minutes left, but I saw a very interesting question. I think I might have passed it. I don't know, maybe whilst I'm checking, if I also don't want to hinder Mercy saying something. I don't know if she would like to. I know we did send an invite to you, but I don't know if Mercy would like to say something also.
I don't really have much to say except, there's so many challenges to couples here in the UK, but let's be determined to stay together and create happy families. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
We have one which says, can we please have contacts for the presenter for future consultation? All right. I believe they are asking about your contacts here, Mr. Nyawanza. I don't know, maybe you can share your details, your emails with Lennon here so that we can share with people so that they can be able to come to you and have some of their questions. I know, it's quite difficult when you have time limit and you have so many questions and you want all the questions to be answered, because when you have a lawyer in the house, you want to maximize all his knowledge he has. And I believe this is not going to be our last session with you, Mr. Nyawanza. I don't know if we can actually have you on our second session so that we can address some of these questions which are still there in the group. What we have done, we have actually copied some of the questions which haven't been answered. We are going to be answering them on our group. We do have a group which is there, which is Diaspora Canvas Couple. Oh, I'm just hearing from our colleagues here that we have 10 more minutes. We have been given 10 more minutes for some questions. Let's jump in straight to the questions.
If you don't mind, Mr. Nyawanza, just 10 more minutes.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. This one, I think it was answered. So there's this one. What options does one have if their COS visa is going to expire in the next 30 days? The sponsor's license was revoked days ago, can't get job because he doesn't have driver's license. Can he ask for an extension? I believe this is a wife or asking on behalf of the husband here.
Yes. So that occurs quite a lot. People have visas coming to an end either because the sponsor has lost their license or they themselves are not getting a renewal. For whatever reason, their visa is coming to an end, but they don't have a new job or a new COS. What to do? There is an application that has to be done, that must be done. Okay. All right. There is an application that can be done and that should be done before the visa expires to protect that visa, because once your visa expires, you are in a whole lot of trouble. In terms of right to work, right to rent, and all that. So you ought to do everything possible to keep your visa running. So there is an application that can be done to protect your visa, and it must be done before your visa expires, not after. As long as you do that visa before it expires, you carry on protecting your visa until you get your COS. So that it's very, very important that is done.
All right. Okay, I'm just going to ask two last questions here. I'll just throw both of them at you so that you can just address these two questions. The first one, I believe these people have been here for quite a long time. I have a British passport and my kids are still on a visa, but due for ILR. Should I apply for ILR or naturalization since now I have a passport and I am a sole carer? And then the second one is, how long are appeals taking, please? Submitted mine in July last year, been in the UK for many years.
The second one is a bit difficult because I don't know what appeals they are referring to. If it's an immigration appeal, you can be waiting for a year, even longer, before you get into court. So if that's what they're referring to, then yeah, that is just something that's out there, up in there. The first question, I didn't quite get that. Do you mind repeating that, the first bit?
All right. I think they have a British passport, but they wanted to find out. I have a British passport and my kids are still on a visa, but due for ILR. Should I apply for an ILR or naturalization since now I have a passport and I am a sole carer?
Right. Okay. So the question, remember we were talking about how do children get citizenship? And the question really is, when did this parent get their citizenship? Because if a parent gets citizenship before the children are born, the child is automatically a British citizen. They don't need to apply. They just apply for a passport. So any child born to someone who has either a British passport or even indefinite leave to remain is automatically a British citizen. Okay. So that is something very important. And you don't need, like I said, you don't need to even apply. You just apply for a passport. But let's say this parent then gets their citizenship subsequently. The children are already, born, and then the parent then gets. It means that the children will need to walk that journey as well, to settlement and then to citizenship. So that's the importance of understanding at what point did that parent get their citizenship.
All right. All right. Just a question. Actually, as we are here as couples, what I believe most of the couples who came holding a COS, there have been many issues of divorce, of arguments and separation. And I just thought we can touch, since this is a couples gathering, we can just touch on couples. What advice can you give to couples? Like, how do we sustain, how do we maintain our marriage here with many rules, immigration rules, and where we are coming from? Let's just mute this one. Sorry about that. All right. Things are doomed to happen if it's a big crowd like this. Sorry about that.
That's what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
So the thing is, where we are coming from, we have been trained as couples, as babandi baba, mindi, dimai, and we have had situations where there's so much violence which is happening, especially with the recent people who have come in the United Kingdom. And with these immigration laws, what are the impacts on our marriages, How can we also sustain our marriage, especially with the living condition, the shifts, the little salaries with lots of taxes and all that? Maybe you can just give us an advice, since you have been here for quite a long time and you also work with the laws. How can you help us as couples?
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. It's a very complex question, and I'll try my best. And I think my wife did touch slightly on these issues. So, number one, I think it's important for people to understand that the laws generally favor the ladies. So, if you are here as a man and as a dependent, just to be careful that you cannot carry on with old behavior, old ways of, doing family life. And I'm talking, particularly to do with domestic violence. There are men who think being a husband is taking an authoritative and autocratic stance in the home. It doesn't quite work here, because once the wife picks up the phone and calls the police, they will come and just lift you and throw you out of the house, no questions asked, and they don't even care where you're going to sleep. So very important to understand this, when it comes to issues around domestic violence, and it can then have a ripple effect on your visa and so on. So keep your head low, keep the noise down. And what I also encourage the ladies is, if you are the one with the visa, don't be quick to saying visa pa visa rangu.
Yeah.
Don't be quick. What I've discovered with a lot of people who do that is that subsequently down the line, either they change their mind because the tempers have cooled down, and now they want that man back, but they've chucked him off, they've removed him from the visa, and it's a whole process of then bringing him back on the visa. It can be done, but it becomes a bit difficult. But more importantly, if you manage to remove him, and let's say he returns to whichever country you came from, you then might have difficulties with the children, not only raising them, but also extending their visas, because here they then ask about sole responsibility, and all those things then will come up, to basically bite you. So you have to think through these things. And what I often say is this: even if your marriage is failing, and you can't help it, just try and keep the partner near. Don't be that person who says, I want them to go back kwasadza. It's not necessary. You've got children together. In this country, it's extremely difficult to raise children as a single parent. But also the other issues that I talked about, trying to extend their visas, can become a challenge. So that's to do with domestic violence and visas and so on. But let's come to sort of the happier side of things. How do you keep a marriage in this country where you've got so many laws and changing and so on? I think, one, don't be isolated. Don't be that couple that has no friends or has no community. Belong to some community. Either this group, I think this is a fantastic group that I would recommend, or a church. Find some community, find somewhere that your hinterland, as it were. That helps a lot, because you'll find actually that what you think are problems are very common issues. Especially if you're a man, and then I've got a group that I belong to where we go and do gochi once in a while, and you find that when a man shares what they think is a problem, and then another man laughs about it, and then everyone laughs, then you realize it's actually not an issue, and you go home feeling, okay, that wasn't such a big issue after all. So it is important to belong to some group. It's very helpful. And then reach out, ask, if it's an immigration issue, ask someone, call us. So some of us, we are happy to give advice. If a payment is needed, I'll tell you. But more often than not, if it's a quick question, I'm happy to answer and say, okay, that's not a big issue, or that may be sorted. And especially to do with returning a spouse that you removed from your visa. I like doing those things. So if you're in that situation, reach out to me. I'm happy to do that, because I like to see people getting back together. Because in the long term, guys, let me say this maybe as my last point. We don't want to raise children that are unfathered and unmothered. You find, statistically speaking, that those kids do badly. Their outcomes are not very good. They end up in drugs, they end up in gangs, they end up doing all sorts of things. Not to say that single mothers don't do a good job, they do. But statistically speaking, you will find that most kids in prisons, most kids on drugs, most kids in gangs are unfathered. So please try and prevent that. Don't let your kids be a statistic. It's within your power, and you can do it. This country, it's actually livable, and it's a fantastic opportunity to be here. In 5 years' time, most of you will have an opportunity to go to university and study on any course. Some of you came as carers, you will be medical doctors, and that's how good this country can be. So look on the bright side, look at the opportunities, and consider your family, and you should be fine.
Wow, wow. Thank you very much. I just grabbed some few things. Keep your head low until you get your 5 year.
Yeah.
Keep your head low. I like the fact that one. And I also understand the fact that you need to belong somewhere. I like what you have mentioned there, that you need to belong somewhere, belong in a group, a church group. Our couples canvas,
Yep.
join us as well. Follow Mr. Nyawanza. I don't know if you would like to share your handles, if you want to share anything where people can follow you. I know he is on Facebook. I'm one person who's following him as well, and he has so much interesting issues and topics he discuss on Facebook. So please, I'm begging you, if you can hear my voice, kindly follow him. I don't know if you also have somewhere else people can contact you, can follow you, you'd like to share here, or would you feel to maybe give it to Lennon so that he can share with the rest of the group?
Yeah, I think the Facebook platform is probably the best. Lennon will share my phone number or email to those that are interested in, but Facebook is probably the best. It's got a maximum number of friends that I can have, and I think I've reached that. So unfortunately, I can't add any new friends, but you can still follow me, and you can still message me. So that shouldn't be an issue.
Thank you so much. Shalom. Thank you, Mr. Nyawanza. Time is always jealousy, but yeah, I would like to have you back at some point. We will have some time again with you, if time permits and your time permits as well. We cannot thank you enough for your time. This is it's actually a privilege to all of us. So yeah, guys, follow Mr. Nyawanza, follow us on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on YouTube as well, Diaspora Canvas Couples. We are here to help couples. Please don't run away from each other. It has been talked about. Be together. Thank you so much to everyone. Mr. Garwe and Mrs. Garwe, would you like to have some parting shots before we let people go?
Yeah, of course. Yes. We just want to say a big thank you to Mr. Nyawanza and Mrs. Nyawanza in the background, who has done a tremendous job of answering a lot of questions. So we want to thank you. You have done well. You came as a couple and you were working together, and that's the spirit that we also want to adopt. And as you can imagine, that this is a very interesting, but at the same time, very, very sensitive topic that we were dealing with today, the issue of immigration. And as has been said already, a lot of things are happening. People are dealing with so many issues, and we just want to thank you for coming to the webinar tonight, listening to our speaker. And I mean, we couldn't answer all the questions, of course, because it's a big topic. It's a huge topic. And we believe that we would need to set another date again and come back again and continue to answer these questions. But the numbers are going to be shared. Please reach out to Mr. Nyawanza. We will share his contacts on the group. We want to say thank you for coming in tonight. It's been a great webinar. My wife has a few things to say before we go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nyawanza. We really appreciate. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining tonight. And we believe that Mr. Nyawanza will come back again very soon. And thank you so much, Mrs. Nyawanza, for working behind the scenes. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So yeah, we are now free to go. You can exit the group, and all our contacts have been shared: WhatsApp, Facebook, And yeah, we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. There's more coming. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. So the WhatsApp group, we are going to share again on the chat. Before you leave, you can find the WhatsApp link on the chat.
Follow us as a couple, yeah? Join as a couple.
This is my couples, not.
The group is for couples, but the Facebook and YouTube, you can follow us.
Okay.
The WhatsApp is for couples.
I'm very sorry. I'm asking for someone who's benefited from the question that I asked, and
all right.
The Gujas and Gary and Mr. and Miss Nyawanza, thank you for responding to the question that I asked earlier. Mr. Nyawanza knows who I am.
All right. Thank you so much, Prosper. Thank you so much.
I've got one person, a loved one who wanted to know more, and I've done a very good job in responding to the question that I asked. We will definitely be in touch and probably seek his assistance in applying for
all right.
the extension that you were asking earlier. So yeah, thank you guys for putting together this forum. It is very beneficial to everybody, couples and other people that are not couples. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prosper, for such kind words. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye.